Sally Field actually despised him more than anybody. Sally Field was born Sally Margaret Field on November 6, 1946, in Pasadena, California. Her rise to fame started with modest beginnings. Her mother, Margaret Field, was an actress as well, and her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, was a stuntman and an actor. All of this early family background connection to Hollywood brought her into contact with the world of entertainment. But hers was not an easy ride. Sally's early life was one of emotional hardship and the strains of growing up in an extended family. She usually referred to herself as shy and insecure, but her own natural gift and charm began to break through these traits after a while. Upon graduation from Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, she secured her first major television break, an experience that would establish the beginning of her career. In 1965, Sally Field gained household fame as the lead in Gidget, a light-hearted sitcom featuring a feisty teenage surfing star. Although it ran just one season, the show heralded her effervescent energy and wit, making her an instant favorite. Soon, she was playing another legendary part in The Flying Nun, 1967 to 1970, where she played Sister Bertrill, a happy-go-lucky nun who actually flew. Though the series was popular, Field later admitted she struggled with being typecast as the cute, perky girl, yearning instead for more serious and meaningful roles. Determined to evolve beyond her television image, Field began studying acting with the legendary Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. The experience transformed her craft and gave her the confidence to pursue deeper, more emotionally challenging roles. She was rewarded for her perseverance when she gave an electrifying performance in the 1976 made-for-TV film Sybil, playing a young woman suffering from dissociative identity disorder. The part demanded remarkable emotional range, and Field's performance was widely praised, resulting in an Emmy Award and forever changing the course of her career. For the first time, Hollywood began to realize that Sally Field was not a lightweight television performer, but rather a legit dramatic talent. Her success with Sybil paved the way for film opportunities that could utilize her full range. In 1979, she appeared in Norma Ray, a strong drama about a Southern mill employee who becomes a union organizer. The character resonated with audiences and critics alike, as Field infused the role with authenticity, grit, and passion. Her performance won her the Academy Award for Best Actress, and her tearful acceptance speech, "You like me, you really like me," remains one of the most quoted moments in Oscar history, representing both relief and elation at finally being recognized for her talent. During the 1980s, Field also continued to excel in a variety of diverse roles. She co-starred with Burt Reynolds, whom she was also romantically involved with, in Smokey and the Bandit 1977 and The End 1978. Although their relationship ultimately dissolved, it had a profound impact on her personal and professional life, as both actors were one of Hollywood's most sensationalized couples. Field also delivered iconic performances in Places in the Heart 1984, for which she earned her second Academy Award, and Steel Magnolias 1989, a movie that demonstrated her skill at meshing strength with vulnerability as a mother to deal with love and loss. In the years that followed, Sally Field continued to demonstrate her lasting power as an actress. She also appeared in Forrest Gump 1994, playing Tom Hanks's loving mother, a role that took on iconic status in its own right. She then returned to television without missing a beat, taking on applauded work in ER and Brothers and Sisters, in which she portrayed the mother of a multifaceted contemporary family, a role that earned her another Emmy. Even in her 70s, Field continued to seek challenging roles, such as her Broadway appearance in The Glass Menagerie and her interpretation of Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln, 2012, for which she was nominated for yet another Oscar. In addition to her screen success, Sally Field has also been a vocal champion for women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and awareness for mental health. Her honesty regarding issues with self-esteem and her forthcoming memoir In Pieces, 2018, provided fans with an intimate look at her life, her victories, losses, and determination. The memoir unveiled the strength in her vulnerability, which touched readers profoundly who were so impressed with her strength and honesty. Sally Field's own life, as was her celebrated career, has been marked by all too many moments of love, union, and individual development that affirm her strength and autonomy as woman and artist alike. Her first marriage was to Stephen Craig, whom she married in 1968, when she was still coming out from under the early television success of Gidget and The Flying Nun. The wedding was concurrent with a life-changing time of transition for her, both professionally and personally, as she labored to establish herself outside of the lighthearted, if attention-grabbing, performances that had made her an overnight sensation. Even though Field and Craig legally divorced in 1975, they had been apart since 1973, a time during which Field started to seek more mature, challenging roles for herself that would eventually redefine her career. Together, the couple had 2 sons, Peter Craig, born in 1969, and Eli Craig, born in 1972. Both went on to achieve creative success in Hollywood, following in their mother's artistic footsteps. Peter became a renowned novelist and screenwriter, working on big movies like The Town 2010 and Top Gun, Maverick 2022, while Eli got recognized as an actor and director, best known for his dark comedy Tucker and Dale vs. Evil 2010. Field has frequently mentioned her pride in having sons, highlighting the tight-knit nature of their family and the way motherhood earthed her during her stormy years in the entertainment world. Following the breakdown of her marriage to Craig, Field embarked on one of the most discussed relationships of her life with Hollywood superstar Burt Reynolds. Their affair started in 1976 and continued through 1980, a time of both passion and public intrigue. The two first met during the filming of Smokey and the Bandit 1977, which was a box office success, and made them one of the best on-screen and off-screen couples of the late 1970s. Their undeniable on-screen chemistry gave rise to 3 more films: Smokey and the Bandit 2 1980, The End 1978, and Hooper 1978. Off-screen, though, their relationship was as complicated and passionate as it was loving. Field would go on to call Reynolds someone she loved, but also someone who had issues with vulnerability and control, which finally strained their relationship. Although they broke up in 1980, they kept up an on-again, off-again relationship for another couple of years before they finally broke up for good in 1982. In subsequent interviews, both Sally Field and Burt Reynolds looked back on their time together with lingering fondness, but also a lingering sense of unresolved feeling. Reynolds famously referred to Field as the love of my life in his 2015 memoir, while Field, while affectionate, confessed in her own memoir In Pieces 2018 that their relationship had been emotionally complicated and occasionally challenging. In 1984, Sally Field got married again and found love in the arms of film producer Alan Greisman. Their marriage occurred when Field was already a renowned actress in Hollywood and 2-time Academy Award winner for Norma Ray, 1979, and Places in the Heart, 1984. With Greisman, Field had her 3rd son, Sam, in 1987, making him another shining star in her life. Field has frequently reminisced warmly and in admiration about Sam, who went on to become a writer and public spokesman, and about the warm, close-knit, nurturant character of her family life. Even as she achieved professional success, Field always maintained a strong commitment to motherhood, juggling her job with raising her children, a juggling act she has also characterized as difficult and richly fulfilling. Though, like most Hollywood relationships, it did eventually end, and the pair divorced in 1994 after a 10-year relationship. There have been numerous tales told from Hollywood movie sets over the years regarding actors not getting on behind the cameras, but few compare to the reported tension between Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones. Though both are respected, Oscar-winning actors known for their immense talent and professionalism, their working relationship during the making of Backroads, 1981, was infamously turbulent. Sally Field, who has always been candid about her experiences in Hollywood, did not hold back when discussing her feelings toward Jones. "I have worked with difficult men before," she once remarked, "but Tommy was something else entirely. He was impossible to work with. I actually loathed him more than any man I'd ever worked with." Her words, said in both honesty and weariness, showed the intense frustration and emotional drain the experience caused her. Both Field and Jones were at critical junctures in their careers at the time Backroads was shot. Sally Field had already established herself as a dramatic actress in Norma Ray, 1979, and Smokey and the Bandit, 1977. And Tommy Lee Jones was establishing himself as a master of intensity, grit, and an almost frightening seriousness about his work. On screen, their chemistry could have appeared raw and realistic, but most of it was generated from genuine hostility off-set. Field eventually confessed that much of the tension that existed between their scenes was not a product of acting. It was genuine. "Every look, every line between us was loaded," she stated. "I wasn't pretending to be mad at him. I was." The fight arose out of their fundamentally different methods of acting. Field was famous for her emotional availability and interactive method, while Jones was notoriously brooding, methodical, and frequently dismissive of other people's points of view. He was domineering and argumentative on set, according to his reputation. To Field, whose standards included mutual respect and empathy, his behavior was unacceptable. "He could be condescending," she said. "He treated me like I didn't know what I was doing, and I had already won an Academy Award. It was insulting." Most of the crew members would go on to characterize the mood on set as tense and draining, with long silences and underlying hostility between the two leads. Much as they hated each other, the movie forced them to share many intimate and emotionally charged scenes. The irony was that their combustible interactions made their on-screen relationship electric. Others said they saw realism and edge in their performances, not knowing that it was actually a manifestation of real conflict. Field herself eventually admitted that she sometimes used her actual frustration as fuel for the character. "I used every ounce of irritation I had toward Tommy to drive my performance," she explained. "It was cathartic in a weird way." But once filming was over, she explicitly stated that she would never again collaborate with him. "I could not bear to be in the same room with him," she bluntly conceded. Tommy Lee Jones, in his turn, never publicly addressed Field's complaints in detail, but his silence was eloquent. Famed for his rough manner and dislike of Hollywood rumor-mongering, he ridiculed gossip about feuds as nonsensical. Nevertheless, sources confirmed that his temperament tended to conflict with co-stars, especially feisty ones such as Field, who would not be intimidated. One Backroads crew member remembered, "Sally gave as good as she got. She didn't back away, and that made it worse between them. It was like seeing two storms converge." Field thought about the experience years later with a combination of laughter and residual annoyance. "I guess he's a great actor," she said, "but that doesn't mean you can like the man. I didn't. I loathed him." The honesty of her words was appealing to fans who respected her integrity and unwillingness to whitewash Hollywood truths. She stressed that not all working relationships, however professional, may be enjoyable. "People expect actors to become friends after shooting," she added. "That's not always the case. Sometimes you just endure it." Even years later, Backroads is a sidelight in both actors' distinguished careers, remembered more for its controversial pairing than for its story. Though both Field and Jones went on to greater success, She in Places in the Heart 1984 and Steel Magnolias 1989, and He and the Fugitive 1993, and No Country for Old Men 2007. Their pairing is a reminder of how genius can side with intense personal dislike. Ultimately, Sally Field's emotions toward Tommy Lee Jones never mellowed. Her words, sharp, honest, and deeply felt, still echo as one of Hollywood's most striking admissions of dislike between co-stars. "He may be talented," she concluded, "but talent doesn't excuse cruelty. I'd rather work with anyone else." That statement, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically honest, captures the essence of a woman who built her career on truth, passion, and the courage to speak her mind, no matter how uncomfortable that truth might be.